We're able to induce not only tumor growth inhibition, but actual regressions of this tumor. This was a deal that we did at a premium to the close of our share price. This is really just the beginning. A lot of interesting value to be created over the next 2 years.
Onyx Live is proudly sponsored by Humphrey's Law and Panacea.
I'm Adrian Gottschalk. I'm the CEO of Foghorn Therapeutics and delighted to be here with you guys at JPM in San Francisco.
Can you explain exactly what it is that Foghorn are working on at the moment and how is it benefiting patients?
Sure. So we're a clinical stage biotech company focused predominantly in oncology. We work in an area called the chromatin regulatory system, which is a fancy way of saying that we work on the system that actually regulates gene expression. The simplifying analogy I like to use is one of the architect and blueprint. If our genes are the blueprints, then this chromatin regulatory system is the architect that is controlling which genes are turned on, which genes are turned off. So we've been focused on a whole series of very unique targets that industry historically has failed to drug in any selective way. We're really proud of what we've been able to do with our platform that entails a whole range of different small molecules, as well as targeted protein degradations. We have a collaboration with Eli Lilly on our main program that's currently in phase 1 dose escalation, and we have a slew of proprietary programs that are progressing towards IND here in the near future.
Can you tell us more about your main program?
Our main program is FHD 909. This is a program that is targeting SMARCA2. This is a protein that is found in one of these chromatin remodeling complexes that's responsible for opening and closing chromatin, turning genes on and off. In this case, we're interested in cancers that have a SMARCA4 mutation. That is the sister protein to the SMARCA2 target. The challenge historically has been to selectively drug the SMARCA2 protein. In this case, we've developed a small molecule inhibitor of the SMARCA2 program. It's very selective for that SMARCA2 target. And we're currently in a phase 1 dose escalation study. We're looking at a range of different cancers in patients who have this SMARCA4 mutation, but we're most interested in looking at non-small cell lung cancer. In the case of these SMARCA4 patients, they fare very, very poorly in the first-line setting. They don't really respond well to the immunochemotherapies that are currently the standard of care in that setting. So very excited by this program. We're on track to likely have a decision by our collaboration partners sometime later this year.
What was the data that you saw that made you think that SMARCA2 was the target to double down on?
I'll start with some clinical data that we've seen when you look at the natural history of how these patients perform, specifically in first-line non-small cell metastatic lung cancer. Patients who have a SMARCA4 mutation effectively have half the efficacy that you see if you don't have the mutation. So the response rate overall, goes from something like 40% down to about 22%. The median progression-free survival goes from about 6 months down to about 2.7 months. Median overall survival, 15 months down to about 8 months. So right away, you know the unmet medical need for these patients is really meaningful in the frontline setting. We then did a whole slew of animal model experiments looking preclinically at what happens when we take our drug and dose cell-derived xenografts, patient-derived xenografts with these tumors. And we actually see pretty striking efficacy. We're able to induce not only tumor growth inhibition, but actual regressions of this tumor. So we're tremendously excited by the potential that this molecule holds to actually fundamentally change the treatment paradigm for these patients that have this SMARCA4 mutation.
Congratulations are in order, because I understand you just announced $50 million in funding. Can you tell us more?
Sure. So we just did a registered direct offering, $50 million, as you mentioned. We did this with our top 4 shareholders. It was led by BVF Partners with participation from Deerfield Management, our founding investor, Flagship Pioneering, and a very large leading mutual fund. And this was a deal that we did at a premium to the close of our share price this past Friday, 30% premium, so we closed at about $5.16. This is a deal at $6.71. And the important part about this is that it's actually, in my opinion, a vote of confidence from our existing shareholders who know the company well, not only in our lead program that, again, we'll have a data readout or a decision from our collaboration partners on later this year, but actually in the rest of the pipeline. So I'm tremendously pleased and very grateful to our existing shareholders. And I think, again, it's indicative of the potential value that's coming out of our pipeline, not only later this year, but over the coming years as well.
What exactly does that capital unlock and enable for Foghorn?
Right, so we get roughly probably about 2 quarters of cash runway extension with the $50 million that we just raised. And again, importantly, it's really the vote of confidence in what we're doing. It will allow us to continue to progress our proprietary pipeline and ensure that we can do the things that we need to do with our Lilly collaboration as well.
So aside from the readout that you've already mentioned later this year, are there any major milestones that investors should be looking forward to in the next couple of years?
Right, so again, particularly excited about our clinical data and decision by Eli Lilly later this year. Really interested in our selective CBP degrader program. That is tracking to enter into GLP tox, potentially into an IND and start clinical studies, likely towards the end of this year. Our selective EP300 degrader is on track also to get into non-GLP tox and later GLP tox studies later this year. That probably sets up an IND and entry into the clinic, targeting a range of hematological malignancies, including multiple myeloma. That's going to be in the early part of 2027. Last but not least, our selective ARID1B degrader. This is a target that, as far as we know, nobody has been able to selectively drug. We've been making great progress with both the cereblon and VHL degrader. That's going to, knock on wood, have in vivo proof of concept data later this year. We also have some work ongoing in the I&I space, nothing that I'm going to comment on the target, but there's the potential for an IND on the program we're working on there. Completely novel target, oral small molecule, sometime potential IND in 2027. So a lot to look forward over the next 2 years.
JPM 2026, what has the mood been, what's the sentiment been like, and what conversations have you been having?
Right, so I've actually been spending a lot of time with investors, tremendous number of investor meetings yesterday, tremendous number of investor meetings today, a few more tomorrow. My team's also actively engaged in talking to a lot of our colleagues at the strategic biopharma companies. But my sense of the mood is it feels like people are energetic, it feels like biotech has come back, and that there's a lot of optimism about the future. I think as we take the industry forward, a lot of the new programs that people have been working on, I think that's an overall good thing, because ultimately this is all about how we make medicines for patients. And I think the more enthusiasm we have, the more capital that we have able to access as an industry, the more medicines that we can make to change the lives of people for the better.
And finally, in a couple of sentences, what would you say your main message to investors is this week?
I think our main message is there's a lot of exciting things coming out over the next couple years. Pay attention to our FHD 909 program, but also pay attention to our pipeline, selective CBP, potentially in ER-positive breast, and selective EP300 degrader in multiple myeloma and other heme malignancies. A lot of exciting stuff coming out of Foghorn. This is really just the beginning. A lot of interesting value to be created over the next 2 years.
Amazing, Adrian. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for having me.